Hello, welcome to another episode of Brit and Poland. It's very cold here in Poland. I'm just leaving a barbecue that we're just getting started. Yes, we're that crazy. But here I'm not going to talk about Poland because something rather sizable has just happened in British politics. Rupert Lowe has finally decided that Restore Britain is going to be a political party. Now, this came as a bit of a surprise for many. Many assumed that he was going to maybe join Advance UK. Maybe people thought, okay, well, we'll wait and see. We're not sure what's going to happen. We know he said that something will happen. And a lot of people who don't follow X probably had no idea what's going on. And that's one of the reasons for doing this video, to spread a bit of awareness for anyone on my channel who doesn't quite follow politics and may be curious. Now, as some of you may know, I joined Advance UK when it was just an idea in Ben Habib's mind, thinking this is the party that sounds like it actually is serious about making change. So you might wonder, why am I promoting Restore UK? Well, initially I was torn. I'm sure many people were torn because, you know, once you kind of plant your flag, you kind of decide, okay, this is the party I'm going to follow. And this morning, that dynamic changed because Ben Habib has said that there are formal talks for Advance UK to join, to merge with Restore Britain. Now, this is the best of both worlds. For over a year now, under a year, roughly a year, Restore Britain has been busy gathering information from the public about what they want. It's been busy forming policies, and Rupert Lowe himself has been fighting hard in Parliament. The team have been doing thousands of freedom of information requests to establish exactly what is going on behind the scenes in broken Britain. And what has Rupert Lowe decided? The system is so broken, the only way to beat it is with a new political party. Now, we're going to talk about the other political parties briefly, but yeah, okay, let's jump into that now. So, for those unfamiliar with the UK landscape, who are the main players? So, let's start with Labour, or Liber, or the Pedo Party, whatever you want to call them. These are the people in charge of the country now. You've had several corruption scandals in their time in office. They've managed to insult the British electorate numerous times. I don't even know where to get started. But essentially, they represent the worst side of the establishment, the side that wants to cozy up to Brussels. And if you're a Brexiteer, that's a big no-no. If you're a Eurosceptic, that's a no-no. Of course, if you love the EU, sure, they're probably the party for you. But they're incompetent, they lie, they've raised taxes, they're closing pubs, they're making people poorer, they're driving millionaires, billionaires, all the people that actually pay the substantial amount of tax out of the country. And, well, yeah, they're bad people, I'm sorry, but I cannot defend Labour in any way, shape or form. They're scum, as far as I'm concerned. Then you have the Conservatives. So the Conservatives, of course, held power for, 14 years? And in those 14 years, they did pretty much nothing. They basically just sat on the throne, watching the country burn. They massively increased immigration into the tens of millions. Well, at least about 10 million, roughly. I don't know the exact figures, but it was high, a lot higher than it should have been. And under them, the UK has, you could say they've been managing the decline of the UK. Very unpatriotic. And now they're coming out with all of this sort of patriotic, nationalist kind of vibe, saying we've changed, we've learned, blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit. If you believe the Conservatives, well, I'm sorry, but you're easily fooled. It's part of the establishment. they're all controlled by more or less Brussels, the WEF, whatever. Don't trust them. Trust me, they haven't changed. And if they got into power, it wouldn't make things any better. Well, maybe a tiny bit better than Labour, but it wouldn't be what the country needs. Then you had the Lib Dems. So I supported the Lib Dems when I was a student. Back then, most students did because they promised to legalize weed and eliminate tuition fees. They got into coalition with the Conservative power. Tuition fees went like that. I didn't see any legalization going on. They basically proved that they only care about power, like most of the political parties, and they did nothing to make the UK a better place. They're sellouts, and their leader, I'm sorry, but Ed Davey, he's a clown. He's damaging Britain's reputation on the world stage, and much like Labour, they're very pro-EU, and I don't think they actually have any policies that make any difference. I think the country under the Lib Dems would be a disaster. And then you have the Greens. So the Greens have always been a fringe party, but because people are abandoning Labour in droves, they've become actually credible opposition. Generally polling around 10-15% or so, but they're run by somebody who thought it was a good career choice to try and hypnotize women into making their breasts bigger. And that's not me exaggerating, that's not me joking, that's me being very serious. They could also be considered the Islamist party of the UK because half of their group are people that want to bring in Sharia law, do want to subjugate women. I'm sorry, but if you vote for the Green Party, you're also opening the door to mass immigration again because they want to have completely open borders. They want to destroy the economy of the UK by basically saying, right, we're going to take all the money from the rich people, which some people may think, oh, about time. But what happens? Those rich people leave, they're not paying taxes, suddenly the UK becomes poorer and not richer. And the money you take from them won't go very far because the UK is massively overburdened when it comes to the civil service. Something like 50% of the country's revenue is paying people who are working for the government. That's bad economically, just in case you were wondering. So, yeah, don't vote the Greens, don't vote Lib Dem, don't vote Labour, don't vote Conservative. Then the other big player, the elephant in the room, is of course Reform UK. Now, when Reform UK launched, I was behind them because finally it seemed like we had an anti-establishment party that was going to make real change. But the question is, what have we seen in the time that Reform UK have been campaigning? Yes, they maybe hold about 30% of the vote share now. Should be higher, really, given the amount of dissatisfaction in the country. Why is it only at 30%? Well, they don't really have any policies, at least not yet. And nobody really, well, okay, not nobody, but the people who are informed in politics. Okay, I don't know why we have the police. Hopefully we're not going to get arrested. The people who are informed in politics are generally saying now that they don't really have an answer. I personally think that Reform UK is a big Nigel Farage ego trip. And for the evidence of that, I will cite what happens to Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib. Fair enough, Ben Habib left the party on his own accord because, well, he didn't like Farage. And you could say he was kind of gently nudged out. Rupert Lowe was kicked out of the party. So was James McMurdoch. Why was Rupert Lowe kicked out? Oh, he dared to speak ill of his leader, at least briefly. He had an interview with the Telegraph, and Farage decided, yeah, no, this guy, he's a problem. We don't agree with his policies. We don't agree with, like, removing immigrants from the UK. We don't agree with going on a kind of harder right. Reform UK and Farage have also been very negative about figures like Tommy Robinson. Now, I get it. Farage is perhaps about 10 years behind the curve, people who are informed, who have actually done the research, who have actually watched proper content, know that Robinson isn't some far-right Nazi. He's actually quite centrist, believe it or not. But he was ahead of the curve in warning the country about the grooming gangs. And so the establishment decided we're going to use our propaganda engine to destroy him. So yes, effectively, I hate to say it, but I don't trust Reform UK. I think that they're not prepared. You can see they're also dragging in as many Tories as possible. Why would you want the people who destroyed your country running it again? Why do you want a Conservative Party version 2? Then you had Advance pop up because Ben, well, bless him, he felt the patriotic surge to make a change in the UK, but you know, he got his 40,000 members or so, and unfortunately there's been like a media blackout. It's only really on X can you actually hear about this party, so it dramatically reduces the distribution. And then you have a few smaller parties like UKIP, National Front, or whatever they're called, you know, a whole load of other small parties which, I'll be honest, are going to do nothing. And voting for them, I hate to say it, even if you think their politics are the right ones, they're not going to win. They're not going to gain traction. It's a complete waste of your vote. So, now we come to Restore Britain. So Rupert Lowe is by far the hardest working MP that government has probably ever seen. He actually actively is working hard behind the scenes. He's attending votes, he's gathering information, he's doing all kinds of things. Through Restore Britain, they recently concluded the grooming gangs inquiry, which will basically implicate the Labour government and probably some of the Conservative government as being complicit in the SA of a lot of the UK's children, which is quite frankly horrific. They're going to be seeking private prosecutions based on their findings. I hope we see a lot of prominent people arrested. I'm talking about police, I'm talking about social services, I'm talking about judiciary, I'm talking about politicians. Because this is what the UK needs. The UK needs those people in power who have abused their power, who have accepted bribes, who have turned a blind eye. It needs those people to go. And prison is the best place for them. Absolute monsters. Absolute monsters. So personally, I think now is the time. When I saw the announcement yesterday, I was surprised. And then I went to X, and suddenly you have a massive, and I do mean massive, positive wave of people getting behind Restore UK. The sort of people who were begrudgingly following reform, the people who were counting on Advance UK to break through, they've realised Restore UK is the way forward. And honestly, I think it is. I think it's the only party with integrity. It is the only party that I trust. And I think it is one that can make a difference. You are seeing a lot of prominent people like, a lot of the online right, primarily to start with. People like Carl Benjamin, head of Lotus Eaters. The rest of the Lotus Eaters have all followed suit. You've got Fastjet Performance. You've got Dan Wooden. You've got Catherine Blakelock, the originator of the Brexit Party. You're seeing people like Elon Musk put his support behind it. So effectively what we're seeing is a consortium of people. And what we're going to find is a lot of these people are probably going to stand as MPs. What does that tell you? If they're willing to put their careers on the line for this party is going to do something right. Effectively, it's entering a new era of celebrity politics. We're just waiting for Jeremy Clarkson to add his support, and then I think we'll see that a lot of the, what I would call sensible-minded people of the UK are going to make the switch. It's unfortunate that Restore has a very similar name to Reform. If people have dyslexia at the ballot box, maybe they'll tick the wrong thing. But they are very different. So I'm excited. I finally see a positive direction for the UK, and I recommend highly, if you believe in the UK, if you want the UK to be a great country again, Restore Britain is the way forward. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go back to my barbecue, and I'm going to somehow survive this cold. See you soon. Do zobaczenia. And next video, let's go back to some travel stuff. I will take you to Rzeszów, the capital of Podcarpathia. But I've been a Brit in Poland. Please like, please subscribe. Do zobaczenia.